everyone. I love the buzz of economic development happening all around us in this space that's soon to be a restaurant in a few months. I'm Selena Barrios Milner. I'm the Director of Equity and Inclusion in the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. Today we're kicking off the Economic Development Center, where we bring economic development right to your neighborhood, and this kicks off our Equity and Inclusion series today. If I could have your attention near the front. All right, you'll get, Mayor's got this. So today is an important day as we kick off this Equity and Inclusion series, because equity and inclusion in economic development is about making sure that all Bostonians, women of color, women and people of color can share in the amazing prosperity that our city has. We're in a construction boom, we're in an economic boom, and we want to make sure that everyone in every neighborhood has access to that. Today we have an opportunity fair. We're so thankful to all the departments that are here sharing current contracting opportunities. I've already heard a lot of great connections being made by businesses that are here today in our city departments. And we're also joined by the State Supplier Diversity Office over here, who also have their own opportunities to share with you. And we have a partnership with the state where if you get certified with us, you're also certified with the state and vice versa. So that's a really great partnership that just became official this week. So we want to really celebrate that. We're all working together to make sure we get you opportunities in your own city. We're also joined by Chief Barrows today, the Chief of Economic Development, who's been a champion of equity and inclusion and economic development for all, and really this is his vision coming to life. And we're joined by the mayor, who has made racial and economic equity a centerpiece of his administration, from having the first diversity office in the city to last week signing an executive order for racial equity and ensuring that our city departments are serving everyone in an equitable manner, to the creation of this equity and inclusion unit within economic development. We're really at every level partnering to make sure that Boston begins a new chapter and that we can partner with community to make sure that everyone has access to all the greatness that Boston has to offer. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Selena, and thank you. How about another round of applause? She did an amazing job putting this together today, and I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank John Barrows and his incredible team at Economic Development, who have been working on a whole bunch of different fronts here in the city over the last 5 years, and that office has grown. And as that office has grown, we're trying to grow opportunity and expand opportunities for everybody that's here. I also want to congratulate Jazz Urbane, which is going to be opening here at the Bolling Building pretty soon, a brand new jazz restaurant. It's going to be exciting that we're going to have here. I want to thank everyone from the Economic Development Center. Let me just try and sum this up for you. Boston is right now a city that has incredible growth going into it. In the last 5 years, we've approved 56 million square feet of new development in the city of Boston. In our city, we have housing proposals and proposals in every neighborhood that never happened before. Usually, Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan, parts of Hyde Park were left behind during building booms. It was always focused on the waterfront and focused in downtown and focused in other areas. We've gone through economic up and downturns since our history of the city began. What we've realized now, we're probably in one of the largest growth spurts in the city's history right now in Boston. And what we're realizing, and what we realized for the last bunch of years here, is that the growth and all of the opportunity isn't being spread equally across the city. There's people, there's companies, there's individuals being left out of this opportunity. The difference now is the neighborhoods aren't being left out of this opportunity because people want to build here. And what we're doing with this office and what we've done in the administration in the last 5 years is try to build up a foundation to create opportunities for folks. And when I say that, if you're an individual and you want to get into building trades, we have programs to do that. But if you're a company, a subcontractor, sometimes it's really difficult to figure out how do you get access, not just to public jobs, but to private jobs. How do you, if you do HVAC or you do electrician or you're a plumber or you're just general construction, how do you get access and you own a company, how do you get access to those jobs? And this office is about that. This office is about working collectively to help people to get there. Now, you might not be big enough to work on a big project, but you're big enough if you have a company to work on some project, because all the big companies in Boston didn't start off as billionaires. They usually start off with a wheelbarrow, a shovel, and a pickup truck, and a paint bucket. And that company goes up to something else. So we want to make sure that there's opportunities. I just want to, one of the businesses that are here there is Hilliard Baker, who owns HB Plumbing and Heating. Their company attended our pilot program last year and came here probably with no expectation, saying, I'm going to go, but no one's going to help me. And now that company's working with a contractor in our public works department. And what happens is you get a couple contracts and you build your capacity up towards getting bigger jobs. I want to thank City Councilor Kim Janey, who's here with us, because when Kim ran for City Councilor, I'd see her out knocking doors, and before that we talked, and every time you talk to Kim, and still today, it's about opportunity. It's about building equity. It's about creating chances. I'm not standing here today offering false hope. I'm standing here today, we're working towards making sure that people have opportunities. That's what today is all about. As we continue in this incredible economic cycle that we're in, we need to make sure that there's an ability for companies to take advantage of some of this. Some people have, and some people haven't. And that's really what today is all about. It's about creating pathways. You hear a lot about gentrification in Roxbury. The way to solve gentrification in Roxbury is by building wealth. What does that mean? That means by getting somebody a job or having somebody who has a company the opportunity to get city contracts or private contracts and build towards that. That's how we're going to save our neighborhood. We're not going to save it by not building. We're not going to save it by all this other. We're going to save it by giving people who live in the neighborhood an opportunity to buy the home someday, or pay the rent someday, or be able to do that stuff. Those are the things that we have to continue to do. We want to empower residents and businesses and people to grow what they have. Ask questions. There's a lot of people in this room that have answers to or have ideas on how you do that. These other companies that started in town, some of them started because their fathers started the company in the 30s and 40s and 50s, and they built it up and built it up and built it up. Unfortunately, I don't know many of us in this room that had a father that owned a construction company, because mine didn't. Mine was a laborer. He was a laborer from Ireland. He got dirty every single day. And what he did was he allowed me the foundation to be able to get an education, and then I got, the rest is history, whatever happened. But that's not the point. The point is that I didn't have that him helping me how to become a millionaire, because he didn't, quite honestly, wasn't a millionaire and had no desire to be a millionaire. His desire was to pay his mortgage, put food on the table, put clothes on our back, and make sure that we get an education so I don't follow him into the building trades. That's what he wanted. He didn't want me to be a laborer. He wanted me to go in the office. I ended up being a laborer. I had to learn, but that helped me in my life. But we have to create opportunities for people. Those companies that we talk about, the GEs and the Amazons and all those folks, that the big companies we see, they all work with each other to make sure that they help continue to build what they have. The people here today are your foundation. They're the beginning. Many of you already started, but talk to these people around here. As I look out the window, I see Walgreens, and then I see Expressions, and in between I see 1, 2, 3, 4 empty storefronts. A year from today, with this office, we want those storefronts to be filled. We want this corner, this Dudley Square, to be moving. I can't do it. Kim Janey can't do it. It's going to take all of us working together to help create those opportunities. And that's why we're here today. We created this office. This office came out of John Shaw. Celine is running it because we understood that when we were meeting with people, you know, there was companies from all over the country who want to move their businesses to Boston. I got 500 employees. I got 1,000 employees. I'm a startup and I got $5 million investment money. And they kept coming in one after another, after another, after another, after another. And that was great. It's great for Boston. We love it. Keep coming. But we also realized that when we came to Roxbury, parts of Dorchester, parts of Hyde Park, Mattapan, quite honestly, parts of Southie, parts of Charlestown, the areas that people didn't have the ability to make those investments were like, wait a second, we're helping the cities, getting a lot of people, making them a lot of money, which is fine. And there's a lot of opportunity, but the opportunity that these big companies coming in are presenting, the folks that we care about and that built this city aren't having a chance at that. And that's what this office is really about. Don't expect, it's not going to be something, no one's going to hand you a set of keys and say to you, here, this is your pathway to $1 million. It takes a lot of hard work. But what we want to do is make sure that the city and the state and anyone we need to is going to assist you in getting there and help you on that path. So take advantage of this. This is not a one-time meeting. This is an office now in the city of Boston, in economic development, whose sole role and function is to make sure that we help people get access to opportunity. We will do everything we can in the city side, but it's not just about city contracts. It's about getting a chance to work maybe in a city contract and then go out and get your own contract in the private sector and build up the opportunity to be successful. So I want to thank everybody who came today. I want to thank, more importantly, the people that are here today. Thank the city people and the state. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate it. But the people that came today that are curious about what's going on. We have great organizations. We have Madison Park in the room today. Madison Park does buildings and construction and design, and they would like to see subcontractors from the community work on their projects, but sometimes their projects are too big for somebody, which is the pickup truck and a wheelbarrow. They need somebody with a little more ability to be able to do something. So we're going to help you create opportunities and create connections to you. And if you have any questions on any of this stuff, talk to somebody. Talk to them. Follow up with them. Let them know exactly what it is you want to do. If you're in here today with an idea that someday you want to do X, whatever that is, talk to our team so that you understand that how does it work. As you look around, you see, procurement. What does that mean? To be quite honest with you, I had no idea what procurement meant until I was a state rep about 10 years, and I learned about it because I had a chance to talk about it. Police, opportunities in the policing. We have cadet program. In the fire, opportunities in the fire department. If we have veterans that are here, talk about that and talk about how do you work on that. And on the fire department, by the way, it's not just firefighting. We have a whole bunch of employees that are firefighters that are part of the fire department. So when you think about that, don't think, oh, well, I can't get on the fire department. Well, maybe you can't get on the fire department, but maybe you can go work in the fire alarm, in the maintenance department, inside fire headquarters. There's all kinds of jobs there besides the fire department. In our schools, what is your passion? Maybe there's young people here that are working towards getting their GED and they might want to be a teacher someday, and they have an opportunity to go talk to the schools about what's the pathway to becoming a teacher, what's the pathway to becoming a counselor. Keep looking around the room. Planning and development agency, what does that mean? Take advantage of these different departments. We have every department here. Libraries, there's jobs at libraries, there's jobs at parks, there's jobs at public works, there's jobs at public facilities, there's women's advancement, there's public health commission. We have so much going on. It's not just what you think the mission is. Ask questions about it because you don't know what's there. Talk to these folks that are here today. They want to help. And I'm just going to end by, again, just thanking you for being here. We are focused throughout the whole city. We have people that work for the city, and their job is to make sure that we continue development going on in areas and building more housing and doing all that stuff. But we also have people working in opportunities like this today to create chances and opportunities for somebody. This has never happened like this before. It's happened in the city. Just remember this. We've had job fairs before. We've had meetings that have talked about opportunities to get into places before, but we've never had a subdivision of a department that's working on this all the time. This is the first time that we're really focusing, going laser down on it, because we want to see positive outcomes. We want to see opportunities. 50% of the city are people of color. 50% of the city are white people. When you go to the white side, it's broken up by a whole bunch of different people from a whole bunch of different places. When you go to the people of color side, it's broken up by a whole bunch of different people from a whole bunch of different places. So when you think about Boston, we should be one Boston. And we are one Boston, but sometimes we forget, we get separated. But we have to fight to work every single day. We are not truly one until opportunity is there for everyone. And that's what we have to do. So I want to thank you for coming out today. I don't think I'm taking questions, right? Any questions? Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. And we're all together in this. It's me and the counselor and the council and John and all of us. So we got to start thinking like we might have our disagreements and arguments, but this is a day that we don't argue. We just, let's make it happen. Yes, ma'am. How are you? You're right. So one of the things that we've done from the end of September to today is worked with the businesses. We've had more of a presence out here on the streets with our police. You've seen them out there. We're doing more investments in making sure we're cleaning our streets. Today, as a matter of fact, right now, we're going around the neighborhood and we're ticketing business, not business owners, we're ticketing building owners who are letting their businesses fall into disrepair. So today, there's going to be a bunch of owners of buildings that are going to be really mad at me, which I don't care about. And I talked to my office on my way over here. They held off on ticketing business, not business owners, on buildings, building owners. They held off. I said, no, go ticket while I'm here. Because if they have a problem, let them come over and tell me that they have a problem because we ticket them because the awning's falling down and the green thing over their door is about to fall off and the sign's about to fall off the building and it looks like you know they might be living somewhere else and this is not what their backyard looks like. I can guarantee you over the front of their store. So we're out there today working this and we're going to continue to work on task force all year long. I also just so you know, if there's people out there, listen, the guys that hang and the people that hang on the street. They're our friends, they're our family, they're our brothers, they're our sisters, they're our cousins. You know, we also have programs that we can help them get into programs. So if we know people on the street that are hanging out, drinking out of a brown bag or out there, you know, we send in counselors to talk to them. But as you talk to them, if they're willing to go for treatment, you should contact City Hall, 311. All you can do is call 311 and say you're ready to go into treatment. If you know people that are willing to go into treatment for drugs and alcohol, let's try and help them because it's a disease, and none of them woke up deciding when they were little boys and girls they wanted to hang in front of the bank and drink out of a brown paper bag. It's a disease of progression, so we have to work with them to try and get them off the corner. So some of that has to be helped with us too. The cops can push them and pull them and move them and this and that. That's fine. The problem goes away in the square for 5 minutes, but the problem goes to the park, and the problem goes to the alley, and the problem goes down to Orchard Gardens. The problem goes into all the schools, and we get the calls. We got to do more than just push them from one corner to the other. Yes. Yep. The question is, if you didn't hear about affordable housing, the city of Boston, even though a lot of people, it's hard because there's so much need for housing, we're probably the most aggressive city in the country when it comes to building affordable housing. In the last 5 years, we've built more affordable housing in the last 5 years than any other period in the history of our city. There's proposals all over the place that we want to build housing. One of my suggestions is you go to the Boston Planning and Development Agency table. They should have a list of housing proposals that are in the docket for being built. We're working with organizations like Madison Park. We're working with organizations, in housing organizations. We put out 4 pieces of city-owned property out to bid, and we're getting back feedback on that, and on those 4 pieces, they're in this area. Hopefully, a component of that will be affordable housing. It's really hard because we're building it as much as we can. The city's made a major investment in housing. The state has made some investments last year. They did some great stuff with the bond bill. We're going to get some money from them. So we just got to continue to build more housing. I mean, the need is faster than the need for housing is growing faster than the fastest we can build it. And what happens is people are coming in and real estate people are coming in and they're buying homes. They're buying them in Roxbury. That's why I said before when I started. Think about this. 10 years ago, nobody was building anything in Roxbury, Dorchester, Hyde Park, Mattapan. 10 years later, people are buying property in Roxbury, Dorchester, Hyde Park, Mattapan. And they're buying it because they see something special that their neighbors saw here for years, and they're starting to buy it. So we have to build more housing. And we're building a lot. We have to build more. We have to continue to build housing. And one other thing, while I have an audience, we also need support in the neighborhood groups. Because sometimes we come in with a proposal for housing, and people, I don't want that in my backyard. It has to go somewhere. So it's either like you either take it in your backyard or we don't have it and we get yelled at. So I need help from the community on that one because I hear it every day. You know, we want more housing, and okay, we're going to put a 50-unit housing building on, Dudley. Well, it's too big. Well, if it's not 50 units, it's 30 units, and then the affordable piece of that goes down. So like we have to think about who we want to be as a community. We have a couple committees here in Roxbury that are pro moving some development, and we have some folks that just don't want to build anything. You have to build, but we have to try and build where we're not gentrifying. And it's a complicated, it's a very tricky way, and if we figure it out, we'll be one of the first cities in the world to figure this out, in the world, because it's happening all over the place. But we need to be able to build, and we need support on that. Yes? Well, I hate to do this. Mental health services are at the state. And I'm not deflecting, but the mental health services are at the state. We have services in the city, but we don't provide mental health services. Those are provided by the Department of Mental Health at the state that have facilities that are around the state. We do talk to the state and partner with the state. We do have counseling trying to identify folks that have mental health and substance abuse and try and get them into programming. But a lot of those programs, that infrastructure at the city doesn't do that. We do individual homelessness. That's us. So if you see an individual person homeless in the street, we do that job. That's our job. That's our responsibility to try and get them off the street, get them into permanent housing, get them in long-term housing. If we have a family that's homeless, we work with the state. The state has the family shelter system. We work with the state and try and get people into programming. But when it comes to mental health, it really is the state. And what we have to do is you can let us know. Public Health is here. Public Health Commission. You go to them. You talk to them on situations you're seeing. We will contact the state. But that's a state-run process. We have no jurisdiction, oversight, funding ability, any of that over that stuff. We work with individual when they place them in neighborhoods, we work with individual organizations, but that's a state side. I'll take one last question. Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah, it's big. One of the big things is we have our Boston Housing Authority. We are working with the federal government to try and get more housing vouchers, Section 8 certificates. we were in line to get a significant number increased. Then the shutdown happened. We haven't announced it yet. I'm hoping that we can announce this soon. We're going to have significant Section 8 vouchers moving forward. When you think of the super affordable housing, when you think about like public housing, that money used to come from the federal government. We still get some money from the federal government, but we're not getting anywhere near what we need to get to keep up with the supply. I think our waiting list, I don't know if the housing authority is here, I think our waiting list for public housing is 40,000 people. Now, they're from all over. We can't give preference to Boston residents. It's just against the law. It's against the federal law. But we need a federal housing policy to make investments back in the communities. We're working on that. I went down to Washington. I was down there 2 weeks ago. I sat down with Congressman Jim McGovern from Worcester, who's on the Appropriations Committee. I sat down with Richie Neal's office. He's Ways and Means. He's from Worcester. Two powerful people. I met with Ayanna on her office about making sure that we can get some earmarks back in the budget so we can get some targeted investments in our community. But most of that housing issue, until the federal government takes it serious, that's why it seems like we're falling behind here because we don't have a partner there. So we can if we had a federal partner, we would be building probably double the amount of housing and renovating double the amount of renovations that we're doing in the city right now. And it's not just a Boston problem. This meeting we could close our eyes, open our eyes, and be in Atlanta and have the same conversation. We could go to New York and have the same conversation. We go to San Francisco, Seattle, Miami, wherever. We get Dallas, the same exact conversation the mayors have with people from their communities. It's the same issue. And again, I think that when you're talking to elected officials, including the mayor, talk about opportunity and inclusion, talk about access to housing, talk about access to jobs. Every time you see somebody, your friend, me, whoever it is, Kim, you say to us, we need inclusion and opportunity, we need jobs, we need housing. So the more we hear this, and the more people hear this, the more it helps us. We have some good legislation at the State House that helps with displacement, fully fund the CPA, making sure that if you're 75 years old, you can't be evicted from your home if somebody comes in and buys. We have all these bills at the State House. We all support them. But we need the legislature to know these bills are important, because if they don't support these bills and we start seeing women and men that are 75 years old being kicked out, well, what chance do they have? At least if you're younger, you can find a couch to sleep on. But when you're 75, there's no couch. So we have to figure all that stuff out. So I would just keep talking about that. And as far as the contract stuff, go over to procurement, talk to them about how do you access those contracts. They might tell you, well, you can't access them now, but you got to do this, and they'll help you. So you know. So just stay connected. So I'm getting pulled because I think I spoke too long. I want to thank Selena for her great work. I want to thank John Barros for his incredible work. John comes from the neighborhood. He's right up Dudley. If you go further up Dudley, up Stoughton, I'm from there. Kim's from down the street. Kim's doing an incredible job. Today's not a political day. Today is about creating opportunity and access. That's what today's about. It really shouldn't be. I shouldn't be giving speeches. It's about how do we make sure that people that come in here that are saying, they're not going to do anything for me, leave here with, it might be okay, and come back again and say, wow, they actually did what they said they were going to do. That's what today's all about. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And on the note of that last question, we have a panel starting at 11 a.m. here where you'll hear about best practices from our city departments. And Department of Neighborhood Development is here for your housing questions. They're over there near the beginning of the exhibit. Donald's right there putting his hand up. So we have a panel starting at 11 where we'll hear best practices from a business that was successful along with departments that they can tell you what worked. We also have amazing hot food still from Soleil here in the building, so please help yourself. And please make sure that you don't leave without cards, without copies of opportunities, and without having talked to one of us about your ideas, your questions, or concerns. Thank you so much for coming.